Hi, welcome to Full TV. In this video, we are going to learn everything we can about the MSI MEG Maestro 700L PZ PC case. We're going to take a look at some specs and also see some reviews and builds and try to figure out if this case worth your money. And actually, I already did some research about this case, and I found out that this case is not cheap. Actually, I think it's around $400 right now on Amazon. So yeah, it's $409.99. Original price is actually a lot higher. It's $430, which is quite crazy for a PC case, to be honest. I mean, um, you almost can buy a budget gaming PC in this price, and I was really surprised by the price of this case. And let's try to figure out if this case actually uh, worth anything and if you should buy it or not. So let's take a look at some of the marketing material that MSI have to say on their website. And we can already see that the thing that is most obvious about this case and the thing that pops out immediately is the fact that it has a curved one-piece glass side panel, which looks really nice, to be honest. But is that there is everything there is about this case? Let's see what they have to say. So the mag is an artifact infused with the ancient world's mystical powers, breathes its divine essence into the creation of the MEG Maestro 700L PZ. Crafted in unparalleled artistry and technological brilliance, this chassis bears the emblem, a tribute to the timeless legacy of the MAG. So the MAG series from MSI is one of their most premium products. I remember seeing some of their motherboards, and they also not very cheap. And I really like their MEG motherboards. I actually want to buy one myself when I will have money one day. But let's see what else they have to say. The heart for their craftsmanship. NCT cutting triangular ventilation. And I did look what NCT means, but I'm gonna take a look again just for you. NCT cutting meaning. The AI overview says that NCT cutting is a sheet metal process using a numerically controlled turret punch, press to punch, pierce, and shape metal parts without the need for expensive, time-consuming custom molds. So I'm not exactly sure what it means. I mean, it's I guess it's some kind of a way how they make the parts for this case. How NCT works. Numerical control, a program or digital instruction controls the machine's movements. Turret, a rotating component. The turret is equipped with multiple punch and die tools. Automated tool selection. The machine automatically selects the correct tool from the turret for each operation, such as punching a hole or forming a feature. Press action. Okay, key benefits for NCT. Let's see. Cost effective. Eliminates the high cost and time associated with making custom molds for every part. Flexibility. Allows for the quick and easy production of diverse and custom shaped parts. Speed enables faster turnaround times compared to traditional die-based processes, especially for small production runs and prototypes. Versatility suitable for producing a wide range of sheet metal parts from simple to complex. I'm not exactly sure why they mention it, to be honest. Why we choose NCT punch in sheet metal manufacturing. Okay, there's a video here. Okay, what am I seeing here? Okay, so it looks like they... It means that they made the whole case from one piece of metal? Is that what I'm understanding? Yeah. You can see here, um, I don't think it's a case or something, or maybe it is, I don't know. But yeah, it looks like the process is very similar to, like, if you ever played guitar, for example. I used to play guitar. Some guitars, you make them with different pieces and then you glue everything together. And some guitars, you make like everything from like one piece. So, from what I can understand by this, is that they make the case out of a single piece of metal. Okay, so NCT cutting, triangular ventilation. The whole chassis has more than 3,600 triangular holes to improve heat dissipation. I guess they talk about these holes, and I don't understand exactly what is so special about it, but okay. Aluminum unibody chassis. The casing presents a meticulously designed feature with an intricate hairline texture, creating an elegant and distinctive appearance. This texture not only enhances the overall aesthetics but also reflects a meticulous attention to detail. So basically, it's a brush aluminum case, and you can see it in the picture. Okay, so they have some kind of code they put at the back of the case. Like I said, I already did some research about the case. At first, I thought it's like a limited edition case, and you get like a special number, like one out of like 100 or something. But it's not. They just put a code to make you feel special, and just so you'll have a number. So yeah, the coding on the chassis reflects on the unique ideas and creativity for each individual when it comes to their PC build. I'm not exactly sure if they choose the code for you. You choose the. I think they choose it for you, and you just get what you get, which is kind of weird. But okay, let's keep going. This case features a one-piece 270-degree tempered glass with a safety film providing a panoramic view of the interior without obstructive metal at the corners, ensuring a seamless showcase of internal components. Okay, so what they say here is they actually have some kind of coating on the glass, and you can see it does look very premium. The finish on this is quite exceptional, to be honest. I don't think I've ever seen a tempered glass that looks so nice. So they have that going on for them. And let's see some hardware compatibility. The gaming cases offers extensive support for the installation of your hardware components. Back Connect. Back Connect motherboard compatibility. Supporting Back Connect motherboards not only simplifies the installation process, but also makes it easy to cable management. Additionally, it prevents interfering with cables in front of the motherboard, keeping the interior of the case a lot cleaner. Look, back connect motherboards. So back in, I don't remember, I think it was like around 2 years ago or something like that, when Intel 12, 13, and 14 gen was in the rise. I don't know if to call it a rise exactly because they had a lot of problems, but the manufacturers, Asus, Gigabyte, MSI, decided to do motherboards that have all the connectors for the motherboard at the back and not at the front. As you can see, this motherboard, it's called Project Zero, has all the connectors not on the front. You can see there's nothing here at the front. You have only the RAM slots here and like PCI Express slots. So what they did, they put all the connectors at the back of the case. And you can see them right over here. And the reason for that was to avoid cables and make the PC look a lot more cleaner and have easy time to cable management. The problem is the project didn't really stick. If you take a look on MSI's website right now, there are only 3 motherboards, which all of them are like last gen motherboards. They're not new. I don't know if they're planning to continue this project or not. So bear in mind, if you are planning to buy this case in order to use it with a back connector motherboard, you don't have that many options. You have the Z790, which is an Intel 12, 13, and 14 gen, also a B760, which is a micro ATX motherboard. And you also have a B650M, which is an AM5 motherboard, but we already have B850 and 840 newer chipset motherboards for the AM5 platform. So I'm not exactly sure if this is something that is very relevant. I wonder when this case was introduced. Let's see. Release date. So yeah, this case was released about a year and a half ago. So that kind of makes sense why they mentioned this and they want to promote the Project Zero motherboards. Look, if you want, you can use like normal motherboards. The whole idea behind this is just they say it's compatible with back connector motherboards. If you're planning to buy a motherboard like this, they have extra cutouts at the back so you can plug your cables on the back of the motherboard. Okay, let's take a look at some components compatibility. Over here we can see the size of the case is actually not that big, and we will see some videos and some pictures later to see exactly how big it is, but 47 centimeters in length and 47.4 centimeters in height is not that big. It is classified as a mid-tower case, although it looks a little bit big, but it's not that big. In terms of motherboards, you can fit mini ATX, micro ATX, full ATX, and even extended ATX motherboards, which are more high-end motherboards, which are slightly wider. If you are planning to use an air cooler for this case, the CPU cooler height is 170 millimeter, which is quite a lot. I don't know any CPU cooler that is more than that, so that's a good thing. GPU length is up to 430 millimeters. So over here again, I don't know any GPU that is longer than that. So even if you buy the biggest GPU you can think of, it will fit in this case. And the PSU length is up to 230 millimeter, which is again pretty big. If you get any like 1000 watt or 1200 watt PSU, you should be able to fit those no problem whatsoever. And because it is a dual chamber case, it is more wider than usual. So dual chamber are cases where you mount the power supply at the side of the case and not at the front or the top like you usually do. The case, as a result of that, is pretty wide compared to normal cases, which are around 200 millimeters. Over here, it's 300 millimeters. For graphic card installation, you have two options. You can either install it horizontally, as usual, and you have an included GPU stand, or you can mount it vertically, which they provide you with the vertical PCIe bracket, and also something that is very interesting, a PCIe 4.0 riser cable. And this cable is used to connect the motherboard to your GPU. And what's interesting about that is that most cases that support vertical GPU mounting, usually they don't include PCI riser cable, and you need to buy it separately. Now, the problem with PCI 4.0 riser cables is they are PCI 4.0. And like I said, because this case was released a year and a half ago, all the new motherboards are using PCIe Gen 5.0, and also all the new RTX 50 series cards also using PCI Express 5.0. And I've seen and I heard a lot of problems with using a PCI 4.0 riser cable with PCI Gen 5 GPUs and motherboards. So it's nice that they include this. I mean, for $400, it's good that they include that because it's a pretty hefty price. But I don't know how usable it is today, to be honest. I mean, if you are planning to buy something that is last gen, then maybe. But if you are buying something that is like, if you are paying $400 on a case, you're probably not gonna buy something that is last gen. You're probably gonna buy something that is newer. Yeah, I don't know if this case, if it fits the current time of hardware. Okay, let's see storage support. We can mount the storage over here. This is the back side of the case. This is above where the power supply will be. And by the way, you can see here the cutouts for the back connect motherboards. Okay, so what they tell you is you can fit up to 2 hard drives. Both of them can be big 3.5 inch hard drives or small 2.5 inch hard drives. If you have like SSDs, 2.5 inch SSDs, or you can fit one small and one bigger. Let's see fan support, heat dissipation. Okay, so the case supports 120 millimeter fans at the top, at the side, at the bottom, and at the back. And 140 millimeter fans are only at the top and at the bottom. They don't support 140 millimeters on the side. Now let's see the radiator support. So radiator support, you can fit up to 360 millimeter radiator at the top, at the bottom, and on the side, and only 120 millimeter radiator at the back. And you can also put up to 280 millimeter radiator at the top or at the bottom, which is interesting because I thought if they support 140 millimeters fans at the top and at the bottom, you might be able to use 420 millimeter fans. 420 millimeter radiator. For example, the new Arctic Liquid Freezer 3 Pro 420. It's an AIO that is made out of 140 millimeter fans, and it also has a pretty thick radiator. You would think that if the case supports 140 millimeter fans, it will be able to fit a radiator that size, but it's actually not. I think it is due to the fact that the case, again, is not that big as it looks. It is actually a mid-tower, and we will see that later when we take a look at some pictures and videos. But yeah. Over here we can see some more diagrams for the cooling. Let's see what they have to say about airflow. So the airflow in this case comes from the side. The intake is from the side and at the bottom, and the exhaust is out of the top and out of the back. So yeah, in total you can put up to 10 120 millimeter fans for optimal ventilation. That is if you are not using water cooling, of course. If you are using air cooling, then you can fit 3 here, 3 here, and 3 here. It's 9, and then you have the back fan, the rear fan, it's 10. So yeah. Enlarged cable routing space. This case reserves ample space for cable routing, ensuring expedited and simplified cable management process. So you have around 90 millimeters of room to manage your cables, and you can see it over here. That's one of the benefits of having a dual chamber case. You have plenty of room for cables, but as you will about to see in one of the videos that I saw, you will see if you are using a back connect motherboard, it can get pretty messy behind like on the side of the case. But it's okay. No one really cares because everything will be covered anyway. And let's talk a little bit about the front panel. So the case has a USB 3.2 Gen 2x2 Type-C, and 2x2 is 20 gigabits high-speed USB. Let's see what is the actual speed of it. Speed in megabytes. So that's around 2,500 megabytes, which is quite nice, to be honest. I mean, I don't know if you ever use something that you plug into a Type-C connector that has such high speeds, but if you ever do, then yeah, you have a support for it. The important thing is to make sure that your motherboard supports USB Type-C Gen 2x2. First of all, not all motherboards have this connector because for this header, this connector, you need a special header on the motherboard. Let me show you how it looks like. So you can see the Type-C connector right over here. It usually is under the 24-pin connector. It's right here. But again, the most important thing is to make sure that your motherboard actually supports it. So if you take a look on the spec sheet of your motherboard, you should be able to tell if the Type-C supports that or not. And there it is. You can see the internal I/O on this motherboard, for example, the Type-C is only 10 gigabits and not 20, which means this is a USB 3.2 Gen 1. And no, I'm sorry, I think it's Gen 2, but not 2x2. I know it's a bit confusing, but yeah, for example, this motherboard, if you get this Z790 Gaming Plus, then it doesn't support the full speed of the Type-C port. Let's take a look on a different motherboard. Let's take something a little bit more high-end. How about the MPG Z790 Carbon Wi-Fi? Yeah, so you can see here it does have a 20 gigabit Type-C port in the internal I/O, and it's also important when you look on this spec sheet, make sure that you don't look on the USB part, because this is the okay, in this case they mention both the front and the back. You can see it over here. Always make sure that you're looking at the right thing, and you want to make sure that the internal I/O is what it says it is. So in this case, in this motherboard, it's actually a very cool looking motherboard. The Type-C port is fast enough to carry the signal for this case. Okay, let's see what else we have here. So we also have a couple of USB ports, and these are USB 3.2 Gen 1. And Gen 1, I think it's 5 gigabits. If I remember correctly, yes, it's 5 gigabits, which translates to 625 megabits per second real world speed when you transfer file. It's also up to, remember, because file systems can like do crazy stuff when it comes to speeds. When it's not guaranteed that you will get this speed, but yeah, this is the like official spec for it. We also have a reset button, a power button, and a combo microphone and headphone jack. And by the way, if you have a headphone that has a separate cable, for one green for headphone and one pink for microphone, you probably want to use some kind of a splitter. And I'll show you an example for that. So something like this, for example, if you have a combo jack in your PC and you have a headphone that has two connectors, you can buy one of these adapters and then you can plug it in front of your PC. But You can also plug the headphones at the back of the motherboard, because motherboards usually do have the split connector. So you can see the green and the pink one for microphone and headphone. Okay, is there anything else in here? No, we can just see the whole MEG lineup over here with the Project Zero motherboards, with our Maestro 700L PZ, and also with a couple more cases, which are the Pano cases, which are quite interesting. And other than that, let's see what else they have to say. New turning point, MEG Maestro 700 LPZ. So yeah, this is just a summary of everything we saw. You can install up to 10 system fans, providing ventilation and stable performance to the whole system, compatible with ATX back connect motherboards. Support dual 360mm radiators at the top and at the side simultaneously. Aluminum unibody frame construction made by 2.5mm anodized aluminum, synergized with compatible MSI motherboard through bridging with the USB 3.2 Gen 2x2 Type-C port for high-speed data transmission. Again, we talked about this. Make sure you check that your motherboard supports that speed. And a vertical GPU bracket and PCIe 4.0 riser cable as accessories that allows you to mount your graphics card vertically. Okay, now let's take a look at some specifications. Okay, so like we said, the form factor of this case is a mid-tower. We can fit up to extended ATX motherboards, including full-size ATX motherboards that have back connect support, micro ATX motherboards, and mini ITX motherboards. I/O ports, we have the power button, reset button, a couple of USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type A, and one Type-C port. Also an audio and microphone jack. This is a combo jack, as you remember. We can fit up to 2 hard drives in our drive bay. 7 expansion slots. This is talking about the... So they refer to this PCI brackets right here. We got 7 of them. The maximum GPU length is 43 centimeters. Like we said, the CPU cooler height is 17 centimeters maximum. We can fit an ATX power supply, which the maximum length of it is 23. In terms of fans, like we said, we can put at the top up to 3 120 or 140 millimeter fans. At the rear, we can put 120. I think they forgot to mention here 140 as well. Let's see. Oh no. The back supports only 120, but I think we saw that there's a radiator support for 140 at the back. No? Oh no. Okay. Okay, so the back is only 120 millimeter fan. Can put 3 120 millimeters fans at the side. And we could put at the bottom 3 120 or 3 140 millimeter fans. So this is also the radiator support spec sheet. So we can put up to 360 millimeter radiator at the top. And something that is also interesting that they mention here, the thickness of the radiator. And I don't know if they mean by thickness the radiator with the fan or without the fan. Because if you take a look on a radiator, let's take one, Core Liquid, yeah. This Core Liquid 360RH, for example. Let's see if they specify the thickness of it. Yeah, they do. Okay. Block dimension. No, this is the block. So that's the piece that's sitting on the CPU. This little piece right here. Let's see if they have the radiator dimension. Fan dimension. Oh, there it is. Radiator dimension. So the radiator in this cooler, for example, is 39 by 12. This is, I convert this to centimeters, so it will be easier for me. So 394 millimeters is 39 centimeters, 39.4. 39 on 12 on 2. So 39 will be probably the length, because that's the highest number. 12 will be probably the width, because this is also the size of the fan, so from here to here. And 2.7 will be the thickness of the radiator itself, okay, without the fans. And the fans, if we take a look, this is how you test and see which kind of radiator you can put in your case, by the way. So there it is. The fan dimensions are 120 on 120. This is the size of the fan, and the thickness of the fan is 2.5 centimeters. So if you add this to this, you get around 5 centimeters. So actually having 8 centimeters of thickness, it's quite big. This cooler, for example, the one that I took, is a pretty big cooler. Let's see if I can show you some pictures. Maybe from the side. Yeah, you can see right here. Not all liquid coolers are the same. Some of them are more thin, some of them are more thick. So always make sure it. Some coolers also have some thicker fans, and some coolers have thinner fans. They're more slim. So 8 centimeters is quite a lot. At the front, okay, so we don't have a front on this case, of course, so that's why they say NA. The rear is 120, like we said. This is if you want to put a radiator here. And at the side, we can also put up to 360 millimeter radiator right over here at the side. And we have also support up to 8 centimeters in thickness. At the bottom, we can put up to 360 millimeter radiator, and they don't specify the thickness here. I think it's because the bottom is pretty shallow and you have a ton of space here, so it doesn't really matter. And like we said, the overall dimensions of the case is 47 by 30 by 47. That's in centimeters, of course. So over here, we have also the diagram of the front I/O ports, and that's pretty much it. Is there anything else we can learn from MSI's website before we go to some reviews and some videos? Can take a look at the pictures here. You know, in the pictures, actually, this case doesn't look that luxurious, to be honest. But pictures can sometimes mislead, and it's better to watch a video. You can see over here the GPU bracket, the mount support, the support for your GPU. This is the PCI bracket, the vertical PCI bracket that is included with your case, and you also have the riser cable. That is if you want to vertically mount your GPU. Okay, let's take a look at some reviews. Now, bear in mind that I'm looking at reviews on shopping sites such as Amazon and Newegg, for example, because I don't look reviews online, because some of the websites and media outlets out there review products that they get from the companies, and you can't really trust it 100%, although you can find some relevant information if you want to know stuff. But if you want to know, like, if someone bought the case, what he actually thinks about it, this is the best way to check. So over here I have the Amazon product page, and I'm gonna go to reviews, and over here we can see if the reviews, for example, if it's a verified purchase or not. You can see right over here it says a verified purchase. That means that the person who wrote those things actually bought the case. That's very important. And I usually like to see the reviews that have pictures in it. Not all pictures are very pretty, but it is what it is. So John T says, absolute showpiece, massive, beautiful, and built for anything. The MEG Maestro 700PL is hands down the best looking case I've ever used. Okay, so it sounds like he built some computers before. It's not just big, it's elegantly massive. Every panel, every finish feels premium. So that's the aluminum finish that they have on the case. The mirror front and the curved side panel give it a unique presence without being tacky or over-designed. It housed my EATX motherboard, 360mm top and side radiators, and a full-length GPU with room to spare. I didn't even have to fight for cable space. The PSU shroud had hidden the PSU shroud and hidden hard drive bays make everything looks clean, even with the full custom loop. If you want a case that actually shows off your hardware the way it deserves, this is it. So yeah, again, this case is meant to be for very high-end builds, and you can see over here, in this picture, you can see he has a radiator at the bottom. You can see the pipes over here goes to the bottom, and you also have a radiator at the top. No any extra fans, which is interesting, but I guess it doesn't really need to because everything is water cooled. The GPU and the CPU are water cooled. And I think over here he has the reservoir. Yeah. So no, wait, that's a different. Oh, okay, I see what he did. Yeah, that's the reservoir. The reservoir is the part where you store all the water. So this is a custom loop, of course. This is not your typical build. That's a EK radiator right over here, I can see. And yeah, this is a very, very high-end machine, very well crafted. This is a more standard one, as we can see. We have a 360mm radiator here, a vertically mounted GPU. Looks very nice. Let's see what you have to say. This is also a verified purchase. Just received this case and it's honestly very nice, strong and unique. You can notice on the material and custom sheet metal. Also, it's heavy and well made. Actually, we didn't talk about weight, and I think that also didn't specify the weight. Yeah, they did not specify the weight of the case, now that I think about it. Let's see if we can Google it. 13 kilograms. Holy crap. That's without, that's very heavy actually. And that's without any parts in it. So once you build a computer in this case, you're not gonna move it too much. That's for sure. Also, it's heavy and well made, has nice slots to route wires, and easy to remove rails to mount triple fans. It brings easy accessories and you can mount your GPU vertically or sideways. I needed a higher end case and very happy with it. I had a lot of fun building my new PC with the following components: MSI X870 Carbon, RTX 5090 Founders Edition. Don't we all wish we had one? MSI 1250 watt PSU, NZXT Kraken 360mm AIO, and the Ryzen 9950 X3D. Yeah, he pretty much went all in. Either he won the lottery or he's working very hard and earns his money. Over here at the back you can see the number, and his case actually came with 4 numbers. And yeah, here you can get an idea a little bit more about the premium feel of the metal, of the aluminum. Let's see, it's all nice and shiny. And now I also see all the I think we didn't see it in the pictures before, or we did, but all the cuts that they did with the machine that they mentioned. Okay, pretty cool, pretty cool. Good looking build, to be honest. I don't like a little bit how it warps. You can see there's something funky going on here with the fans because of the glass. The side panel is going like this. Then if you look on it from the side, it makes it warp a little bit. It actually looks a little bit weird, but I don't know. I don't think it will matter too much, to be honest. Let's see if we have another one. Yeah, that also looks like. Let me actually download this picture so we can look better at it. So yeah, over here we can see fans at the bottom. Yeah, you can see what I talk about the fans on the side, how the curved side glass panel makes it look a little bit weird. Over here we have a 360 millimeter ASUS RG radiator, which is white. And this is a full-size ATX motherboard from iOS, I think. Yeah, this is a gigabyte motherboard. And he also put one fan at the back. Looks pretty clean. Looks like a nice build. Very high-end. Again, this huge GPU. I think it's like a 5080 or maybe a 5090 or maybe a 4080, I think. Could be a lot of stuff. It didn't say too much. It just said, me like it. Okay. Another verified purchase. Unfortunately, I can't really read that. Let's translate it. Okay, but with translations, it says it arrived very quickly. It seems to be a limited edition. Yeah, that's also what I said about the fact that it has the numbers at the back, which is a bit misleading, to be honest. But yeah, it is what it is. 100% recommended. Let's see some pictures here. It looks like he got the 261. And this is just the case laying on its bed. No build right here. Okay, so that's it for Amazon. Let's see if we can see some reviews on Newegg. Okay, so this is a verified owner. And he has very little to say, actually. Huge and beautiful for the pros. Cons, very heavy. Overall review, hell yeah, I would recommend. And it seems like he also got a response from MSI over here. And in this build, he used the Project Zero motherboard from MSI. He also vertically mounted his GPU. You can see some Corsair fans over here at the bottom. Also over here at the side. And one at the back. And I think these are IQ Link fans. You can see the cable going here. And these fans, what's special about them is that you can connect them without any cables, one to each other, and then you just use one cable. You can see it over here as well. So this is, okay, so he has an IQ Link water cooler, and then he bought IQ Link fans. Let me show you that if you're interested in something like that. So this is the radiator that he bought, as you can see here, with the LCD screen. And this is the IQ Link Titan 360 RX. And the fans that he bought are these ones. This is the IQ Link QX 120mm fans. They're not cheap, but it does look very beautiful, to be honest. And again, with the IQ Link products, you get a hub which looks like this, where it is. Where is it? Yeah, you can see it over here. So this is a hub. This is all the cables that you get, and these cables are used to connect. All the fans are connected to each other with this little, how to say, electrical pieces, one to each other, and then you connect all of them with just one cable, but you get some extras because if you want to plug fans like this guy did here, you can see this cable going all the way over here and from the top, and then you have the cable going over here. This is the radiator, and then it goes to the back, and it, because he has a Project Zero motherboard, everything is connected at the back, and it also has some nice doll over here. Pretty cool build. Actually, it looks very nice. Okay, we have another verified owner here. Let's see what you have to say. Pros: great way to install fans and cooler with the pull-out mounting panels. Comes they didn't mention anything about it, but I think this is the second time I see someone mentioning it. Apparently, there's some kind of a mechanism for the panel to take it out, so you can install fans. Comes with a riser cable for vertical GPU install or anti-sag support bracket for horizontal. Curved single piece panel makes it easy to get everything when building. Easy to hide cables in from fans and coolers. The cons, and this is the interesting part. So the space at the back to store the cables from the power supply could be bigger. The power supply could be lower to make it easier to reach connectors on back connect motherboards. The space for the rear exhaust fan could be a tiny bit bigger to fit slightly larger 120 fans like the Lian Li U fans. He actually has a video over here. Let's see if we can see that. Okay, this is just nothing. Just this PC with like lights. Okay. Overall review. Overall, I love the case. With back connect motherboard, it looks amazing with RGB effects from fans like Lian Li and the lights from the Corsair Link LCD AIO. There are enough ways to hide cables that do exist from the fans, so it's easy to make the front appear clean. Absolutely love the pull-out mounting panels. Again, he's referring to that. Or for the fans on the bottom and the top, and it made it extremely easy to install them without having to turn the tower over and install from the bottom. I would easily recommend this case if you are willing to spend the money. My favorite case I've ever owned. So yeah, apparently there's some, let's see if we can see it here, maybe in one of the pictures. This panel over here at the bottom where you install the fans, apparently you can take it completely out, and then you can install the fans outside of the case and then just put everything back in. So that's pretty cool. And we have another review here with one egg, also a verified owner. Nice case, spacious and easy to build in, easy to route wires. Come with a GPU brace designed with the case. Looks good. Cons: broken. One of the screws bolts sheared off, making it unusable, and that slot is also unusable now as the broken part is lodged in there. No fans included. At this price point, it would be nice to have pre-installed or included fans. Yeah, something that we didn't really talk about is the fact that this case comes without any fans, which for $400 is, yeah, it's not the best, but it is what it is. The overall review, I think it's a good case, but I think they need higher quality screws. I can't recommend it at all due to this. I can understand low quality screws in a cheaper case, but this was a $400 premium case. I expect quality parts. I get it. He's right. He's right. I mean, look at this. The screw was broken. I mean, look. It can happen, right? But at the end of the day, I mean, it can happen with any case, right? So the fact that he's complaining about the fact that this case cost a lot, I don't think it has nothing to do with the broken screw. Yes, he's right about that. They could have like put maybe higher quality screws, but uh, if a screw breaks in any other case, then what? You're gonna say, yeah, it's okay that it broke because the case is cheaper? It's not okay in any situation. So it is what it is. But the more concerning part, it says that the bracket, it doesn't. He doesn't show it here, I think, or does he? No, it doesn't show it. But he said that the bracket is unusable now because the part that got broken is stuck in there. I'm sure you can probably take it out with some pliers or something, but then, yeah, you wouldn't want to take pliers and start messing with a $400 case. It's quite annoying. I really get it. I don't think he should have put one egg for the entire case for that, but I totally get the like frustration. And for MSI, it was something interesting. They replied to each and every comment here, but not to this one. Yeah, that also doesn't look good. I hope they did reach out to him and try to fix it somehow. I don't know how can you fix that, because if the broken part is stuck inside a bracket, then I don't know. They're not gonna tell him, yeah, send us the whole PC and we will change the case for you, because he already probably built the PC and is not gonna take apart everything just for one screw. So yeah, it's a unfortunate situation, but it can happen. It can happen with every case, to be honest. Like if it was me, I would probably just leave it. And if it was like, I don't know, if you really care about it, I guess you can like return the case, ask for a new one. Not all retail stores will be accepting to replace that, because they can say that you broke the screw, that's your problem. So yeah, I don't know. It's a bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. Okay, we have another build here. This one looks very nice. I like the colors on this one. And he also, it looks like he went with an MSI motherboard. Let's see. Yeah, MSI motherboard. This is an MPG motherboard, and you can see an MSI graphic card as well over here. And I think this is also an MSI liquid cooler. Looks very nice, very pretty. Let's see what they have to say. Overall review, tower is excellent, clean aesthetic that looks great on the desk, super easy to build in, and tons of cooling. I search high and low for something that didn't look too gamer like, but still allowed for a nice display of the components, and this fit the bill. And solid piece of rounded glass is a nice touch over the other towers on the market. Comes with a riser for vertical mounting of the GPU, as well as anti-sag brace if mounting traditionally. Only complaint I have seen some saying that the price it should be included fans, but let's be real, most replace the fans that comes with cases 90% of the time, so I didn't see that as a negative. Yeah, I mean, he's got a point. He's got a point. These days, especially if you buy cases like this, which are meant to be displayed, you probably change the fans anyway. And thinking about it, I get why they don't include any fans, because, yeah, if they include fans that will look good with each other, you probably include all the fans, I guess, and not only like 3, so it will match your other fans. And with that case, the price of this case will be a lot more higher. So Yeah, I get it. I totally get it, and I kind of agree now that I see this, and I think that he has a point. Another build here looks also. Is that the same guy? Wait, no, that's a different guy, but it looks like he did a very similar build. Let's take a look at this one. Yeah, also MSI graphic card. This looks like a different graphic card, an MSI motherboard. So this is the carbon motherboard. And for the cooler, I'm not sure. I think it's thermal, right? Oh no, it's not thermal. It's an MSI. It's the Core Liquid 360 something. I think it's. Let me show you. MSI Core Liquid 360. There it is. This is the MSI Core Liquid E360. I actually did a build with the E240 not that long ago. So, pretty nice cooler. Does the job. Let's see what he has to say. Decided to full MSI my new rig, and I'm absolutely okay, absolutely what? I don't know. With overall quality of the case, I guess he's happy. He also left a 5-star review, along with the versatility of how can set up the tower. Okay? He seems very happy. Okay, so the next reviews are actually not the Maestro 700L. These are sometimes websites mix reviews with similar cases or other cases from the same line. I don't really like it. They do it in order to boost the product page and show that it has a lot of reviews and stuff. So all the other reviews here are for the other cases in the series, like the panel. So you can see it's a little bit different. So we're not going to read those, of course, because we're not talking about those cases, but I think you get the point. And I think the last thing we're going to do is maybe watch a video and see the case a little bit more in person.
So apparently there are two kinds of people. Those who believe that a PC case should only be a simple but functional box that is just meant to hold your components and nothing else. And then there are those that will happily spend a lot more money just to get something that's a bit more special, that has some extra features, for example, that has some extra lights, or it just has a more unique design. And this MSI Maestro 700 LPZ was definitely made for that second group. It is a premium panoramic style case with a brushed aluminum chassis and a curved tempered glass side. It is heavy, it is built really well, it looks beautiful, it is very elegant, but it will also cost you $400 in the US or about 400 euros here in Europe, which is a very hefty price for a PC case. So let's check it out, let's see how it performs, and let's see if we can somehow justify this extreme price tag. Let's begin. This Maestro 700.
Okay, so the reason that I'm showing you this review is because I did see this review before. She talks about the performance of the case, which is something that I can't really talk about because I don't own it and I can't really test it, but that's a good way to see what kind of performance we can get, because this is also an important aspect of your PC. So yeah, let's see what she have to say.
L doesn't really have the most original design. It is another panoramic dual chamber case with a glass side and a glass front that we've been seeing a lot in the past year or two. But there is a very good reason these cases are so popular. Dual chamber designs are very easy to build and very easy to cable manage, and the panoramic glass panel will let you see your build fully and just add a bit more to the overall aesthetics of the case. And that especially so if you have a lot of RGB lights or a custom cooling, for example. Now, since this is a dual chamber case, it is a bit wider than your regular tower case would be, but it is not that tall and it will still fit nicely on a regular sized desk. But where this case really stands out is the build quality. The glass panel is curved, there are no edges.
Yeah, you can see, by the way, in this picture right over here, you can see how clean the glass looks.
To worry about.
You can see what they talked about the protective film they have on the glass. And look at the finish also. This is like meticulously well crafted. I mean, there is a reason why this case cost so much.
The aluminum chassis is 2.5 millimeters.
Here you can see the case opened without the glass. Also looks like, I was worried a little bit about the glass, how you take it out, but it looks like it has this huge big bulges right over here, holes, sorry. And then you have the securing notch in the end. It looks very high end, to be honest. It looks very good.
All around, which makes the whole construction very rigid and very sturdy. Plus, it has the same curve as the glass, connecting the top and the side panel. And it just gives off that high-end impression straight away. But do keep in mind that brushed aluminum is very sensitive to fingerprints, and if you touch it, you will have to clean it, which can be a very big inconvenience for some people. I mean, it's going to be fine if you just put it somewhere and then occasionally clean around the power button, but if you do touch it a lot, you will have to clean it all the time. On the back, we can see that every case has...
I don't know. I mean, how many times are you going to power your PC in a day? I mean, yeah, she has a point, but I wouldn't concern about it too much, you know?
Power button, but if you
just my opinion.
Do touch it a lot, you will have to clean it all the time. On the back, we can see that every case has its own unique number, so I thought that there will be a limited number of these cases with a max of 999, pretty much. But MSI said that there is a limited number for launch models only, so newer models might not have that number label at all.
So yeah, that's what I told you about the number at the back. I also thought it was like a limited edition thing, but she confirms that it is not. Yeah, this is what it is.
I/O is found at the top of the case, and it includes one USB Type-C and two USB Type-A connections, so you don't need to get a motherboard with some extra internal USB headers. The buttons themselves are quite nice, but I don't really like the positioning of the I/O.
She said something interesting here.
So you don't need to get one USB at all. The I/O is found at the top of the case, and it includes one USB Type-C and two USB Type-A connections, so you don't need to get a motherboard with some extra internal USB headers.
So I actually made a video about it not that long ago, that some high-end cases have a ton of USB ports at the top or at the front, whatever you see it, and those cases require motherboards that have more internal connectors. If you want, you can watch this video right here, or like right here, sorry, and you see what I mean. But long story short, I'm gonna show you an example for one case. So this is a Corsair 7000D, which is a very high-end case from Corsair. And what's special about this case that it has 4 USB 3.0 ports, as you can see here. Now, what a lot of people don't know is that a cable that goes to the motherboard to connect those USB ports can carry signal only to 2 ports. That means that in this case, there are 2 USB 3.2 or 3.0, whatever, cables that need to go to your motherboard. Now, if you take a look on a motherboard, let's say this one, for example, most motherboards do not have 2 internal USB 3 connectors. This motherboard, for example, do have, and you can see one over here, and you can see another one here at the bottom. But most motherboards don't have a second USB 3 connector. Even some high-end motherboards that I've seen do not have it. For example, let's see if the Z790 Project Zero has it. Okay, the Z790 Project Zero actually does have two USB 3 cables. You can see one, headers. You can see one here and one here at the bottom as well. I can't really show it, but it's right here. But let's take a look on the B760M, for example. So you can see here in this motherboard, you can see one over here, but there isn't a second one anywhere. So if they have implemented more than two USB ports, then they would have a problem because it will have two cables and you will need a motherboard with like two headers. So that's a good point that she's mentioning.
One USB Type-C and two USB Type-A connections, so you don't need to get a motherboard with some extra internal USB headers. The buttons themselves are quite nice, but I don't really like the positioning of the I/O that much. So they put it on the right side of the top of the case and then a bit further to the back. So if the case is on the desk next to you or even under your desk, it will be a bit harder to reach these buttons. I mean, it is...
She has a point, but I think it's good that they did so because remember, the front panel connectors and buttons and everything have cables that you need to plug to your motherboard. If they have put the front panel in any other spot in the case, like at the front or on this side, then you will see a bunch of cables go from that, and it will ruin the whole aesthetic of the case. So I think they just didn't have any other option. Like, where are they gonna put it? At the back? Like, it's just weird. That's the only place where they can put it without ruining the aesthetic of the case.
Or even under your desk, it will be a bit harder to reach these buttons. I mean, it is a minor thing and it is pretty subjective, but I still think that it's worth mentioning, especially if you use the I/O a lot or if you have very limited space for your case. It is fairly easy to open the case up. The glass is held by screws in the back, and then you just pretty much click it out, while the cutout on the side panel doesn't have any screws at all. You just pull it and click it out as well, and now you have access to both.
Over here you can see how it looks like with the back connect motherboard. How messy it is. All the cables. You can see the cutouts here, over here. Yeah, it's not a huge deal because, again, everything is going to be covered. So it's totally fine, but yeah.
At all. You just pull it and click it out as well, and now you have access to both compartments. In the front compartment, there is a motherboard tray with the same curve as the outside, staying true to the design. The specs say that...
What she's talking about is this curve right here.
This is an ATX case, but larger eATX motherboards will fit as well. And you also get the option for back connect motherboards, which is what I used for this build, but I'm going to talk about the build a bit later. You can fit 120mm fan in the back, 3 140mm fans in the top and in the bottom, and...
By the way, here you can see this little screw. So that suggests that this whole rail at the bottom, that's what we saw in the reviews, you can take it off in order to install fans.
3 120mm fans on the side, and keep in mind the case doesn't come with any fans by default, which is just ridiculous for a $400 case. I mean, I understand the argument that users that are ready to pay this much for a case will also buy their own fans, but I just cannot accept that you're supposed to pay that much without expecting a decent performance out of the box. And MSI does have some nice fans they can add, so in my opinion, they should definitely rethink about including a couple of fans. Now, if you go for water cooling...
So yeah, again, the argument with the fans can go either way. You can either look at it and say, yeah, $400 case, no fans, blah blah blah. But some people really like to customize their case with their own fans, and if they had put more fans, this case will be even more expensive and will be pretty much inaccessible. Like, would you buy a $500, a $600 case? I mean, it's already 400, and the reason why this case is so expensive is because of its build quality and like all the detail with like the curved glass, which no other case has. I mean, it has its position in the market. I kind of agree and don't agree with the whole fan argument. So take it as it is.
You can fit a 360 millimeter radiator on the top, bottom, and side. And if you go for air cooling, you can fit an air cooler up to 170 millimeters in height. So you have plenty of options there. For the GPU, you have up to 430 millimeters space, so pretty much all GPUs will fit easily. Now, the default here is a vertical orientation, and the case does come with a nice riser that you need to mount your GPU vertically. But of course, if you prefer, you can go with a typical horizontal orientation as well. The back compartment behind the motherboard has enough space for a power supply, some storage, and all the cables you need. Now, you are a little bit more restricted in what you can reach through that cutout, but it is a large space, so it won't be much of an issue. And then especially so if you don't need hard drives and you can use the space above the power supply for some really lazy.
So yeah, what she's talking about is this space right here. So if you remember, we said that the case supports it has a drive bay, and the drive bay should come over here. She probably took it off in order because she doesn't use any hard drives, and she probably didn't want to. To be honest, a lot of people don't use hard drives these days anymore. They don't. You shouldn't buy a hard drive these days. SSDs, especially M.2 SSDs, are much more cheap. They're much more cheaper than it used to be, and they're a lot more faster and a lot more reliable. So unless you have like old hard drives that you need and you want to transfer them to your new PC, then yeah. But other than that, this space is pretty much unused.
Cable management. So it all looks nice and clean, but I still feel like some things are missing for the price that you're paying. Now, aside from the fans that I already mentioned, you don't get a fan hub, you don't get an RGB hub, and even the holes on the motherboard tray don't have any grommets to hide the cables nicely. So the only extra accessory next to the GPU riser is a GPU holder, and that's it. So I do miss something extra to set this case apart, and then especially so considering its price. Anyway,
let me know in the comments down below what kind of things you should have get with this kind of case. Like what you would want to see get included, maybe inside the box, maybe some kind of accessory. I'm trying to think of one, and I can't really think about something. I mean, apart the whole fan argument, I don't think there's anything you can add. They give you the riser cable, which is already something, because a lot of cases don't include a riser cable, even if you can vertically mount a GPU in their case. So yeah, I don't know. I can't think of anything. Let me know in the comments down below if there's something that you would have want to see other than fans. Sorry. Even the argument that she's saying about the RGB hub and the fan hub. I mean, if for example you're going to buy the Corsair fans that we saw, yes, before with the guy that I showed you with the IQ Link, Corsair has their own hub for it. No other hub will work with those fans. So again, putting a hub in this case will probably cost them extra money. They will charge you extra money for that. And then if you end up using other fans, you're not going to use that hub anyway. So, yeah.
Always try to keep the build limited to one brand as much as possible. And
okay, so now she's gonna talk about the build that she did. I think I'm gonna skip that part. You can go and watch this video if you want. I'll put a link down below in the description. But yeah, I'm gonna skip to the performance part because this is a little bit less relevant for us.
But let's see how this build performs. In a CPU-only stress test with a fan set to 40 decibels at a 50 centimeter distance, which is a reasonable noise level for a system under load, and with the CPU pulling about 250 watts on average, using Intel's new default power profiles, the processor sat at around 90 degrees Celsius, which is pretty hot, but also expected for this CPU.
Yeah, she's using in this build i9 for 1400 sorry 14900 KS, and I think this video when it was released 10 months ago, it was right exactly when all the reports with like Intel CPU, especially the K CPUs, started to rise with how hot they get and how much power they consume and high voltages and stuff like that. If you're not familiar with the massive blow that was with Intel in the 12, 14, 14 gen, then yeah, their CPUs, especially the K CPUs, draw a ton of power and they can get pretty hot, even with water cooling. So yeah, it is to be expected, like she said.
Since the GPU wasn't really doing that much in a CPU-only stress test, it wasn't really getting warm either. The VRMs were at 65 degrees and the memory and SSD were just over 50 degrees.
The VRM, by the way, for those of you who don't know, is the part where let me show you. Is this part right here? Okay, so these are the VRMs. All of this, it takes the power from your power supply and it split it to small voltages to supply power for the CPU.
Now, the internal case temperature was a bit higher than I expected it to be. I measured it at two different points this time around, in the middle of the case and between the socket and the memory, which is where I usually test. And that second sensor hit 39 degrees Celsius, which is a bit higher than I expected it to be from a case with this many fans and without the GPU being used.
I mean, it is to be expected because the case, even though you can put a lot of fans in it, right? At the end of the day, this whole piece right here is just a huge block for air. Even if you put fans here, yeah, you get some airflow. And you get some airflow from the bottom as well. But still, this is not the normal way where you should get like proper airflow. If you want proper airflow, you don't get a dual chamber case. You get a normal case that have fans in the front, and then the fans in the front can directly cool the VRMs on the motherboard, which is gonna sit right over here.
Now, the sensor in the middle of the case was noticeably cooler. Now, while playing Cyberpunk 2077, which stresses both the GPU and the CPU was pulling around...
What GPU she's using? The 4080 Supreme X. 300 watts. That's crazy. 300 watts for a GPU.
150 watts and sat just under 70 degrees, while the RTX 4080 Super was pulling 300 watts with 64 degrees on the cores, 74 degrees on the hotspot, and 86 degrees Celsius on the memory. So the GPU cooling is more than fine. But the case temperature, again, is still a bit higher than I would like it to be. Now, from the middle of the case, it's clear that these fans are moving more than enough air, but the area around the socket still stays on the warmer side with 45 degrees Celsius between the socket and the memory.
Again, this is because there's nothing that is directly blowing air on this part of the case. Think about it. You have fans that give fresh air from the side, yes, but the air is stuck like right over here. I almost touched the monitor to show you. The air is stuck here, right? And then you have the fans here, but you have a GPU here, right? So all the air is gonna stay around this area. Some of it might go through over here, but not all of it. And that's why this area that she's talking about, the mid portion of the case where the VRMs are. That's why she's saying that it's a little bit higher than usual than what she's used to see with other cases.
And that is technically still fine. I just like to keep 40 degrees Celsius as a good target for the temperature between the socket and the memory, which many airflow focused cases will easily hit. So this case runs a bit warmer, and if all you care about is thermal performance, you can find $100 cases that will cool this exact build much better.
Yeah, she has a point. And over here, you can see what I'm talking about. You can see the huge GPU right over here. You can see the fans blow air on it. And you can see the fans here at the side. And there's nothing that's getting air to that side of the motherboard. You only have the exhaust fan at the back, and that's pretty much it. I would argument that maybe actually you can flip this fan and make it pull air in, but don't quote me on that. I'm not recommending it necessarily because I've never tried something like this. It will be interesting to try and see if it have any effect and put more air towards the motherboard, because the fans at the top from the radiator, they are pulling air up, right? So you can intake from here as well, and then everything will be exhausted through the radiator. Maybe. Just an idea. I don't know. I've never tested it. I've never tried it. It will be interesting to try something like that.
Now, of course, you can probably improve the airflow by changing some of the fan.
Here you can see a little bit better what I mean. These are the VRMs. You can see there's zero airflow here. Nothing. These are exhaust, so they pull air up. And this is exhaust. It's pulling air to the side. And these fans obviously are not strong enough, or even if they are strong enough, the angle is just not right. So it can't really cool this side that she's talking about.
Orientations are not the best. Either way, the results are not the best, but they're also not that bad. So it can definitely cool a proper high-end build good enough while remaining quiet. So I don't think ultimate performance was the main goal here in the first place, and they were mostly going for the looks. I do feel like this case benefits from having some RGB fans, as the glass is a little bit on the darker side, but it also makes it easier to hide some extra cables you might have, or the fact that the motherboard is a bit of a different color than the GPU. It is also one of the nicest and sturdiest panorama style cases I've seen so far in terms of material use, and it really looks and feels high-end when you see it. And when
Man, look at this shot right here. You can actually see the protective film on the glass.
Material use and
this is not like the plastic film that you rip off when you buy a case. This is something that is built in from the factory.
and it really looks and feels.
Look at this. You can see the reflection here. You can see how much premium it looks. It reminds me the gaskets, the covers that like SWAT people have before they raid the house. They're like, let's go. I don't know why.
High-end when you see it and when you experience it in person. But would you pay $400 or euros for this case?
So yeah, would you pay $400 or euros on this case? This is totally up to you. This is your money. My job here is to give you as much information as possible and help you with like the technical stuff, with like building inside this case. So please do me a favor. If you are ending buying this case and you're building with it and you have any kind of like problem or something that you need help with, please feel free to reach out. I'm available at Full Tower TV pretty much on any social platform. So yeah, with that said, I think this is the end of the video, and I hope you enjoyed this one, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.